a lot of times what happens is I just feel like he doesn't want to hear what my point of view on, how it should be done and so on. So my first one was, I need him to respectfully consider my point of view. This is kind of like the underneath, and obviously this isn't the first time this is
so wait, your first one though isn't an I need, it's I'm upset with blank because
okay. I'm upset with him because he doesn't consider my point of view.
Beautiful. And I want you all to know later when you start doing this work, if you do it on the number one, you take away that whole I'm upset with him. That partly I think why she skipped right to that, but I'm upset with him because we put all of that over there. So
because it's all his fault.
I see Cindy says, I don't see anyone else except Shawn and Alice, and that's because we're doing a piece of work and the two of us are highlighted on the screen. So anyway, it's the thought that comes after the because, that's what your mind is believing, that's creating the upset. So that's the only thing you're going to put down if you do the work on a number one. We'll probably choose number 3 or 4 to do a piece of work with on her, but let's hear all of them first. So if you were doing a one belief at a time worksheet or going through this process that's in your workbook on a number one, you would just put the part that comes after because. So what's your one-liner if you do that? It's
the after because.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't consider my point of view.
Okay, so your one-liner that you're going to work, everybody, is after because he doesn't consider my point of view. That is a beautiful, very black and white statement of the problem. And you notice it has an object because it's got a my in it. It's not just that, he's stupid. it's there's a you in there. He doesn't consider my point of view.
As tempting as that one might be, we are avoiding that.
Stupid one.
It's funny that I
told everybody. Yeah, sorry. In number 5, where we judge,
thinking that he thinks I'm stupid.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Did you write that one down? Because that is a really big one with a lot of husbands and wives that I see these husbands that are actually kind of in awe of how smart and complex their wife's brain is. And yet because of their reaction, the woman has this story. He thinks I'm incompetent. He thinks I'm stupid. Yeah. So I wrote that one down because you guys get down below these to remember yesterday or Wednesday, we did the and that means. He doesn't consider my point of view. And if you did it and that means, he thinks I'm stupid. But anyway, that's not the one. I told you to do a real simple worksheet. So we got a good first one-liner. He doesn't consider my point of view. Were there any others that came to you in number 1? Okay, good. I mean, I asked you all to limit it to 1 unless you just had a flood of others. Okay, so what's your number 2, the wants?
I want him to stop thinking his way is the right way.
Okay, everybody notice what you've got. I want him to stop thinking his way is the right way. Keep yours as simple as you can. No ands in there, no buts or becauses or justifications. She could have said, because he doesn't know anything about what I'm trying to accomplish. So that wouldn't have really belonged in there. We want to just honor the beliefs as they are and not have to justify them. Number 3 then is so the number 2 is the wants or don't wants. I don't want him to try to take over. It could be whatever your thing is. You can do a want and a don't want. Okay, number 3.
Is that the shoulds?
The shoulds. Yeah. The shoulds and shouldn'ts. Yeah.
My favorites. He should be open to other ideas. He should be more cooperative, like collaborative. Actually, that's my need.
Okay.
So he should be open to other ideas.
Beautiful. That's good. Just keep it with 1. Okay. Do you have a shouldn't? What's he doing that's making you crazy? He shouldn't.
He shouldn't be such a know-it-all.
Got it. Okay. All right. So, and again, that this can either be advice that you actually think will be helpful to him, or it can be a flat out judgment. Even though the question says, what advice would you give them? Lots of times those judgments do come up. And you said this is your go-to. You're the mom, the made up mind, the judge and jury. And it is a.
And you know what? I think he is too. And that's when we run into this.
Oh, did you see Barbara's comment? It went away from me. Read it. Can you read it?
Oh.
Do you want to read it for everybody?
Yeah, it says, it's amazing to me, this worksheet. My worksheet is about someone at work, but every sentence is nearly identical to Allison's. Thank heavens I'm not married to the one I work with, or the one at work.
Yeah, and so many of us are married to that one that has that judgment. But yeah, and I know that the person who commented has had times when she felt her husband in situation was the know-it-all, or was hijacking conversations or things like that. So yeah, we all have all of it, which is what's so fun, that there aren't that many thoughts to work through. You start to catch yourself. I always say all our pain is like a house of cards, and we'll pull out those few big beliefs from the bottom. You can't believe them anymore. When you hear that come into your head, the whole thing collapses. So you're like, do I have to work every single situation? I'm like, in the beginning, yeah, go with it. But after a while, you'll just get the occasional one that pops up. So, all right, number 4.
That's why I brought this one up, because this is an ongoing thing, but there's a very active situation right now that is the same. And so I thought, oh, if I can work through this, it will help me in the future and with other times that this comes up.
Right. And the intensity, you've come so far. I mean, there used to be a level of rage that would come out for you. And I think you've really learned to step into the role of the observer and at least take time with it, knowing that stepping back and getting perspective. I mean, you've come so far with that, I think. So number 4, what is it? The need one?
I need him to be more collaborative when we work together.
Okay. And then how are you describing him in number 5?
Obstinate, stubborn, pain in the butt. I guess I could say stupid, like not stupid as in you're not smart, but why don't you want input from other people to like try to problem solve,
Okay, and you can have your own private cuss words in there too if you don't want to say them out loud.
I'll be good today.
It's funny, yes. So anyway, number 6.
What number? Which one is that?
What is that? What is it you don't ever want to experience around this again? So number 6, we probably won't get a lot of time with it, but it's amazing. For me, it was the beginning of the end of fear. So you've worked through this whole worksheet and you have no emotional charge left anymore. If you do the work on all of these, you will have found how you're doing to yourself and others what you thought they were doing to you. You will have found how you don't actually need them to change, how they are a window into your own direct path to peace. And you still, if you had written down, what is it you fear, this thing, I don't ever want this to happen again. So
well, I hesitated to come on camera because I'm like, I'm looking at my 1 letters. I'm like, oh yeah, I can already see the turnarounds and how it's like, you need to stop being a know-it-all. You need to, you know what I mean?
And I'm glad you said that, because I'm glad you said that, because if you've done this work and you know how it works, it is tempting. Your mind will want to jump to the turnarounds. I had somebody that came to like 8 or 10 retreats. She would come down from New York every time. She was just so quick with this stuff. But she stayed stuck because she kept jumping to turnarounds and didn't really let her mind see the pain of believing each thought. You cannot, and turnarounds can feel harsh. If you go straight to them, they can feel like judgment. or you can have shame around them. So make sure that you, especially, even if you don't do the is it true one, 3 and 4 are the parts that really rewire your brain. Oh my goodness, they think these thoughts are helping us, and it goes, oh no, that's not helping. That just makes me feel this way. And because we're pointed at another person, it needs number 4 to see, without that thought, I'm so much better. With the thought, hurt. Without the thought, fine. So it never was the other person, and the brain needs to see that. Right. And then when you do the turnarounds, so yeah, don't jump to the turnaround. By getting it on the worksheet, observing exactly how you felt in that moment, even if you're a lot better now, you're honoring those parts of you that were suffering. Don't skip over that to the turnarounds. Also, the turnarounds can surprise you. Your examples, you might be blind to them while you're writing the worksheet, but this process, it's why my key breaks down the work differently than Katie. It's number 2. I say, observe the operation and open to the opposite. The 4 questions open you to the opposite. Then in the turnarounds, I call it, see the symmetry. And you're not even ready to see the symmetry when you're doing that first worksheet. So go ahead then.
Okay. I don't ever want to feel like I'm stupid. I don't ever want to feel that my ideas are not valuable. That's probably good for that one.
Okay. And you know what? I'm going to skip really quick.
I got one more. I don't ever want to feel like I'm not being listened to. And as you recall, not being listened to is like a huge sort of childhood thing for me, that I kind of actually discovered from going through this work. It's like, oh, right. That's why I got to be a know-it-all, because no one's listening to me.
Right. And not being heard, not being listened to are both very in others' business. Think about you when you listen to somebody or you really hear what they're saying. It's kind of a happening over here on our side. So it is for them too, whether or not they're listening, whether or not they really get what we're saying. We're out of our business in that. So, all right. Remind me to come back to the 6 at the end. You guys are probably freaking out because it seems like we have so little time left, but we're going to do the, he should be open to other ideas, or do you want to say my ideas?
Let's see.
You're number 3.
I know you don't usually choose the want, but I think the want is really the one that describes.
Okay, let's do that one. That's fine. The want is fine. So, and lots of times, I want him to stop thinking my way is right. So here we go. Everybody follow along with me.
His way is right.
I'll ask the 4 questions right now. And Allison, I want you to drop into a little meditation. You can keep your eyes closed even if you want. See yourself in that moment. And the first question, he wants you to stop, or you want him to stop thinking his way is the right way. Is that true?
In that moment.
Just a yes or no. Yes. Okay. And this, no explanations, everybody, just a yes or no. We're just taking a look. Sometimes you get a whole different answer than your first time around. And there is no right answer. People say, well, I know I'm supposed to say no. And it's like, no, you're supposed to say what you get. Number 2, question 2, you want him to stop thinking his way is the right way. Can you absolutely know that's what you want? Can you absolutely know that thought is true?
No.
And sometimes we don't explain this, but sometimes I'll ask, where did your no come from? Just for everybody, how did you get to a no?
Are you asking me?
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes it's important to think that your way is the right way. Otherwise, you will never, like sometimes you need to have that.
So from that place, you want him to kind of
be that place of knowing so that you can do something that needs to be done in the moment.
So that's where you were actually able to move into seeing him as he is and giving that and saying, well, maybe that isn't what I want, maybe. maybe, and there's the other, maybe I want something deeper. Maybe I want him to respect, maybe it's not about seeing another way as much as maybe I need him to hold me right now and say, what the brain says you want is sometimes an oversimplification. So number 3, back in your situation, find that micro moment where it's just like, I get that good sound from you. You taught me that one. So, all right. How do you react? What happens when you believe the thought, I want him to stop thinking his way is the right way?
The physical sensation that I have inside of me is just like, it's not really a tightness, but it's just this, when we talk about resistance, like it's just this physical resistance. My brain is like, I hate you. It's so, and I'm like smiling on the outside, and on the inside, it's just like, I want to strangle you right now. And so it's like this, having to hold back what you are feeling inside. So that's probably the hardest part about it, because if it's just the logical part where you're like, well, and you're just kind of like arguing from the head, but when it comes down into the chest and it's so, what's the word, somatic or whatever.
Yeah. And I have a feeling.
Breathe.
And based on, what you've just said about not being heard as a child, you were in the presence of know-it-alls also.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would love for us to go back and work a childhood situation on this. And even if you can't find one, working this one starts to release and heal those places that weren't heard back then, where you still get to be the hero you've been looking for in everybody else. Yeah, by doing these turnarounds and giving that to yourself. So just a sub question for number 3. Number 3, how do you react? What happens? And since you've already kind of told us the feeling in your body, that can be a sub question. Where do you feel it in your body? How do you treat him when you believe the thought, I want him to stop thinking his way is the right way, even if only in your mind? And I guess you did kind of tell us that one too.
Yeah, no, I'm just like, I hate you right now.
Yeah. So your heart's really open, right?
Yeah.
Not. Yeah. So I would say, yeah.
Yeah.
And how do you treat yourself when you believe the thought, I want him to stop thinking his way is the right way?
Yeah, I just, having that sensorial feeling is really exhausting, like the aftermath of that. So a lot of times afterwards, you're just like, this week I really got a lot of you talking about the people who tend to blame more end up turning the regret around on themselves. And so then that's kind of what happens. Is like, why am I being such a jerk, to this person who is trying to help me with something? So that's maybe how I treat myself in that situation, is like, knock it off. What's the matter with you?
Yeah. And then you're also that's the system in your head, that rightness, then you're going to be that hard on yourself too. Yeah. When you screw up, when you don't actually know the answer, part of your emotional charge with him too might just be that your brain has to be right all the time, and it actually doesn't quite know what's going on here. We worked last week, in the Q&A with somebody who clearly, her husband becomes the go-to scapegoat when other things are going on that are part of her script. That's when he's the bad guy. He gets all that. Yeah.
It happens there.
So the more we become,
I'll be like, it's our fault.
The more we become aware of those, and you go, wait a minute, I don't really know what the answer should be here either. I'm acting all know-it-all because that's part of what I do. Maybe my solution is right, and maybe it is. In this case, you are right. I know you are, but you might also that angst of, uh-oh, nobody has the answer here, but which might make your mind want to be even more right. Okay, and whose business would you say you're in? If the definition of the 3 kinds of business is, what I say, think, do, and feel is my business. What you say, think, do, and feel is your business. Whose business are you in when you say, I want him to stop thinking his way is the right way?
Hint, hint. Yeah, obviously in his business, like he has the right to approach life however he sees fit. It's not really any of my business.
You're going beyond just what he's doing, but you're actually going into what he's thinking. So yeah. And he may not.
And then in God's business a bit, because like, who am I to say how these seed screens are supposed to turn out in the end? And I don't know, maybe I am totally wrong, and his design is like far superior to what I was thinking of.
Good catch. Yeah. It's all God's business too, including the way we show up, including if you go off on him and start yelling. It's the programming, it's all it is, it's the wind, it's the temperature, it's, what you ate for breakfast is just bigger than our conscious minds can handle, is what I call God's business. But yeah, beautiful. So back to your situation. Who would you be in that same moment without the thought or the desire or the deep wish for him to stop thinking his way is the right way? If your brain just couldn't think that thought.
I would just be so much more of a loving partner. Open to being in a, yeah.
Yeah, and even thinking of how you've been the rest of the day or whenever that happened, you're doing whatever else later and you're still really shut down to that person, or how it still feels in your body. You talked about the adrenaline depletion of getting that big rush of anger, and all of that goes into who you would be. The more deeply, everybody, you can go into writing out question 3. Oh my goodness, observe everything you can come up with. How do I react when I believe that thought? What did I do? What did I say? How did I feel? How did I treat somebody else because I was still angry about that? Get all of that. And then number 4 is kind of like, the absence of all that. Because all that, you will find, wasn't created by him. It was created by your thought about him. He might not even think he's that right. It might be, it's a guy thing. You're supposed to show up acting like you know what's right. He might feel really clueless too. So even the thought that you want him to stop thinking he's right, you're so in his business without, confirming. So number 4, we won't spend much more time on it, but anything else for who you would be without that thought? I mean, think about it. Look at his little face over there trying to help you. Yeah.
Always like on the defense. He's going to think he's right. And.
Right. He's afraid that you're going to whatever. Yeah. So yeah, just seeing him over there doing the best he can, and your heart just opens and like, oh, look at him over there believing he's right. Oh, he's so much like me.
Yeah.
We have that in common. I believe I'm right too.
Yeah.
Oh, honey, so we have so much in common. We both think we're more right than the other one. I feel so close to you in this moment. Yeah, I see how you can turn the whole thing around. Oh, we got some hearts coming here. All right, then. Sorry, everybody. I did hope maybe I would wrap up right at 1:30, but so much fun. I've always saved the win-win thing for last, but I think it's important, so I did it first because we tend to run out of time. So, all right. Again, I hope you have watched the recording. If you have to leave right at 1:30, we're really not going to go too much longer, but thank you for staying with us if you can. All right. So now, are you ready to turn the thought around?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. A little bit more open to the errors in your own logic, a bit more observing the cost to you, the cost to him. All of that is what kind of cracks us open to be curious. I think curiosity is one of the biggest outcomes of this work. I think it's one of the highest forms of love. It's like, okay, what's going to show up next? What does it mean? I don't know. Let's just see. So curious, turn the thought around, and you know some of these. So I'll just I'll say the thought and I'll let you tell me if a turnaround occurs to you. Okay. I want him to stop thinking his way is the right way.
I want me to stop thinking. Well, no, I want me, that's like a double turnaround, but I want me to stop thinking that my way is the right way. Is that to the self?
Yep, that's a turnaround to the self. Yep. So with that, we talked about it in, if everybody could watch the general Q&A from Wednesday night, that is a really good, deep little exploration of turnarounds with Anita, not only how to create the turnarounds, but how to find examples for them, sometimes metaphorical examples. In this case, we know you've said that you have a very kind of, I know I'm right mind. So the solution to this problem is always, here's what is kind of like the solution. Your path to peace is not for him to change. It's for you to notice that the want me to, my thinking to is the right way causes a lot of pain for you, which is why you might want that to change and to keep noticing. Yeah. Any examples of how you were probably thinking your way was the right way even more than he was? Or
lots. Just, my idea, my project, my thing I printed off the internet, my parts that I ordered, all those things.
Right. And you might totally be right. You might totally, that's very hard when, we've done all that and then somebody seems to be minimizing that. But wanting them not to be minimizing it also is an argument with reality. If maybe he's not, maybe he's clueless and he's just acting like he knows. But if he really is minimizing all you've done, that's something you can start to deal with in negotiations and things, those patterns. But to just get so mad that he's doing it and you wanting him to be different is that argument with reality. It's like, just, wanting, I'm looking out at the water, wanting a fish to fly. I see seagulls. I don't see any fish up there. So it's that. Okay. In that moment, he's a fish and you're wanting him to fly. He's just being who he is in that moment. So I want me to stop thinking my way is the right way. And I think that is almost like an amazing living turnaround for you. Is just a walking meditation of how often your pain is created by your mind thinking you've got the corner on rightness.
Definitely another childhood thing. I have to be right. I have to get an A. I have to, be smart. I have to, all of those.
And we can come up with these things and we may not be able to live them. But if we find that, if you and I work some of these childhood situations, you might enjoy not being right. You might enjoy being the one.
The pressure is off.
Who doesn't have to know. I've seen you move more and more into that and becoming more humble, becoming less triggered by other people's not doing it your way. It just makes going through life so much more easy and curious and collaborative. And so and nice for you because you get to keep your heart open to who they are in that moment. So then the turnaround to the other, we did the self is I want me. Everybody, you take your other pronoun, you're pointing at them, turn it around, point it back at you, not blame, just changing the subject. We're looking to see how we're doing to ourselves and others what we thought they were doing to us. So I want
me to think his way is the right way.
Well, let's use your exact words. I want me to stop thinking his way is the right way. So that's really interesting. You changed it because you went to what common sense would tell you. I want me to think his way is the right way.
Oh, I see.
This says I want me to stop thinking his way is the right way. Maybe there is a little part of you that is confused and not trusting all that research you did. And that's what's making you mad and feeling abandoned. You're abandoning yourself and not keeping your own counsel. And because you keep, maybe there, if you can really take a look, is there a part of you that, or even if you're thinking, maybe it's metaphorical, do you have anything that comes to you when you sit with that turnaround? I want me to stop thinking his way is the right way. How are you possibly thinking?
I think if I took off the bit, I want me to stop thinking about it so much. You know what I mean? I just think that the overthinking, again, that kind of type is like, you always got to figure it out, do other things. It's like, I just want me to stop thinking. His way's the right way, my way's like, stop thinking all over.
Yeah, and we know we can't stop thinking, but also watch too, though, how she's actually kind of left the work right here. It's interesting that you got that. And you could sit with this one. Was I thinking his way was the right way? Even if metaphorically.
Because then that makes me more defensive. If I'm thinking, oh, his way is the right way and my way is wrong, then there's that triggers more defensiveness to try to make my way be right more.
Yeah, and the defensiveness dialogue would see how much you're doing that to the littlest parts of you, and unable to really see how. Yeah, so it's just interesting. We go with the exact wording of the turnarounds.
Okay.
So yeah. And then you get curious, wow, how could that be true? And maybe it's metaphorical, like Beth found the other night, you guys, she was the one about her wanting her daughter to learn to drive. And then we got the turnaround. Well, how do I need to learn to drive myself? And she found, I need to drive, she found some really good metaphorical examples, but that's where she's like, I can't find any turnarounds for this. But when we went into metaphorical, I'm wanting me to drive myself harder when it comes to exercising or things like that. So in this case, maybe even, there's something where you're placing his head above yours. If he's mad at you or being condescending because he thinks his way is the right way, how does your little girl brain resent the fact that, well, if you had that all the time growing up and you were little, you must believe, well, the grown-ups are grown up, they must be right. On some level where you still don't, I think maybe I'm wrong, I don't want to do a gender thing, but women especially, we're so quick to look at ourselves and to believe I have to be so right before I even speak up. And then once you have spoken,
my mom was the one that was always the right one.
Yeah. So I had a very right mom too. So then the turnaround to the opposite would be, we don't change pronouns. We don't change we don't change the them to ourselves. You leave the pronouns the same and you negate the verb. I want him to stop thinking his way is the right way.
So we need to, I don't want him to stop thinking his way is the right way. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And just if the verb was, I don't want somebody to keep, I need them to stop yelling at me, or whatever, that you do the opposite. If it's already, I don't want him to, then you turn it around as I want him to. So.
Right. Because there's kind of the two verbs, what you want, and then the thinking. And I was like,
right. Yep. So I don't want, how is that as true or truer than the original thought? How could it be that you don't want him to stop thinking his way is the right way?
Because I like somebody who knows things and knows how to do things. And that's actually, it's funny because, like like a little nickname is the incredible Mr. Fix-It. Like he can fix everything. Take this little thing apart. Oh, there's a little broken piece. Let me fix that. And I'll get out my tape and I'll glue that in. And then, hey, it's working again. So.
The hot glue gun is a good Christmas gift.
Tape and glue.
So yeah, that's the thing. I don't want him to. I like his rightness. So of course he's going to come in. It's his way of helping and saving you, for his mind is going, it's trying to solve this problem. And in the process, he might minimize all the research you've already done. But in general, you can go, wow, thank you for putting some thought into this. You could be right. I thought I was right. I don't know. What do you think? Just it opens up so much when you turn that. I don't really want him to stop being all right about things. Yeah. I use it when I need it. Okay. And then another one. Do you have another turnaround for I don't want him to?
No, not really.
Do you know
I felt such a change in my body just then on that last one. It's very it just kind of released a lot of tension just then. You know, when I recognize things that are so important, you know, about our relationship and stuff.
It just opens your heart. Anybody who's experienced this, and that's why I say you move into unconditionality. You want him to show up exactly as he is. You know, he's all his faults. Kind of, you know, you realize the whole thing was happening over here. Yep. So that's where we come. That's a perfect piece of readiness for the example. By the way, when you find turnarounds, you don't want to just find the turnaround and leave it. You've got to find the real life examples of how you see that you're doing that thing even more than the other person was, or that kind of thing. So that's where you want to. And the cool example for the opposite is always, I don't need him to because he's not. He shouldn't because he isn't. I don't want him to unless he does. I don't want him to until he does. He might stop being so right at some point and say, wow, I really don't know what to do here. In that case, that's when you know that he needs to not, you know, it's like, how do we know what we need? We look and see what we have. All the rest of it is just a mind-made story that argues with reality. So the 100% turnaround that you will always be able to find is to look at the reality of something and say, oh, it shouldn't be this way because it's not. He shouldn't stop yelling because he's not. You can find he shouldn't stop because of what he's believing. You know, if I saw myself that way, I'd be yelling too. But in this case, he shouldn't stop thinking he's right unless he does. Right now, he thinks he's right, and he's really been reinforced for that. You get to be close to your husband without feeling. I know that's the thing. We're like, no, I can't be nice to him because I got
the whole time I've been on here, he's been out there working on this project.
Aww. No, it's just that.
So right now, what I want to do is I want to get mad at myself for being so this is where I have to stop and just go, you know what?
Oh, wait.
I was doing the best I was doing.
Exactly. But I would even not just say, I just need to tell myself that. I would say, do the wheel of self-love even on that one.
Yeah.
Go back to the moment and stand with, by, and for you, because that's what I'm saying. You guys, we have a perfect example of here of how the blamers and the judgers, oh my goodness, they're super hard on themselves. So you need the wheel of self-forgiveness too. You know, look at your childhood. Look at how this brain is wired. Look at all the research you did. Look at what you were believing about him in that moment. Look at your just wanting to get this project done and get on here with me. You know, just all of who you were in that moment, and go hold her. Keep your heart open to her as well. Okay. Because.
All right, I'm unpinning myself.
It's not pity.
Thank you so much, Shawn.
It's love. It's just, I see you. I see how hard you are on yourself, which is the lens through which we become hard on others too. All right. She stopped her camera because she needs to cry too, maybe, but that's not a bad cry. It's just like I always say, the tears are an overflow of love when your heart just cracks open. And that's how this work works. You can come in being totally alienated from someone or something, and then you're completely connected and you see them, or you see all their innocence. You floods of gratitude. I'm a big fan of gratitude lists if you're hurting. I'd rather bring up what's hurting, and then gratitude is our natural state. It's our natural outcome. You know, rather than saying, oh, let me think of all the things I am thankful for. And that's like, but no, this little part of you really is believing there's something bad or a lack or a loss over here. Let's help it as well. So yeah, Mary says, flooded with gratitude. Oh, me too. Thank you, Allison. You know, for the last moment of me just letting myself go later on this one, I just so much gratitude for the people who are here, for my team, for my journey, you know, of getting this work very late in my life and having just everything turn around. I will tell you, if you can do this, if you can find any way to keep going with it, we will help you. We will make it happen. Watch on the retreat thing on my webpage. There's one woman that says, talk to Shawn. She just wants you to feel better. We'll, but mostly you can make it happen for yourself. I see a lot of people that say, oh, I don't have the money for that. And then they go on a really big vacation. And that's not everybody here. There are a lot of people who really don't have the money and are going, right, you don't always know where your next meal is coming from. So please don't think I'm minimizing that. And if you're in survival mode, but I don't want you to do anything that's going to put you into a hardship state at all. There are all kinds of levels, all the free books, all the things that we give, or the $4.95. I think, well, the happiness hacks are $5.95, but you get 9 of them in the bundle of $29. So that's a lot of help there, a lot of free stuff on the website. So anyway, but I'm here. Still give me a call if that is the case. And thank you, everyone. We'll see you Monday night. Go to day 5. Beth says the button on the dashboard is fixed. It will now go to your worksheet. Go work those things. This is what you do. The Judge Your Neighbor worksheet is not really the work. The Judge Your Neighbor worksheet is the harvesting of the thinking. You can just take one thought too and do the work on it. On that other part, you can put what's my situation? What am I thinking about it? You don't have to do the full-blown worksheet. See how she and I just took one of the thoughts, but you can do the worksheet as a way of listening to yourself. And then I want you to do like at least 3 of these. Do it on just before you get out of touch with this. Try doing it on some situations. I knew within literally 5 minutes of hearing Byron Katie do it on a recording that I was going to spend the rest of my life writing about this. I was already in 12-step programs, and I saw that it was a 4th step on steroids, taking your own inventory in a way that actually shifts you, because it lets the brain see the cost to yourself of believing it, see the errors in its own logic, see who you would be without the thought, so you can't keep blaming others. It'll change your life. And it's both of these tools, the wheel of self-forgiveness and the work, put together, form my no matter what way. We will add the living in symmetry blueprint, which was just published 2 weeks ago for my 10th anniversary in business. We'll add that to your dashboard too, so you can see how all those steps go together. And that's what we work through in the mastermind group. And you get a deeper experience of these pieces with real hands-on exercises and real videos of people discussing and working their own situations. This is what we do in the groups, what Allison just did here, me teaching, people doing work, you seeing yourself in their situation. It's phenomenal. So